When Jews were running away, India gave them shelter. It's not just shelter, but we were given equal rights. Hindus in general, I have to give it credit to the Hindu community because they believe in coexistence and diversity. I think for us, it's more religious or just being an inferior race. For the Hindus, it's more of they seem to be grabbing somebody else's opportunity because they focus on education.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Western Spirit. I'm Ariel Whitman from Israel. Today we have someone very special with us, Revital Moses. She is, for those who don't know, she has the YouTube channel Moses in Israel, which is an amazing channel for anyone interested in Israel, India, and the relationship between the two, and we'll get into that. But I think that, first of all, it's interesting that Revital is actually someone who grew up in India and moved to Israel 5.5 years ago. And I didn't even know there were Jews in Mumbai for 2,000 years, it turns out. And so, Revital, let's first get into that. So, first of all, it's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
And I guess my first question is, how did you tell us about growing up in India as a Jewish person?
It was very interesting. It's funny because most people know about the Jews of Mumbai and they don't know about Jews of Cochin or
Yes. I knew about the Jews of Cochin because I had a few of them that lived next to us in Gush Etzion where I used to live. So
you basically grew up with them?
Yeah.
Ish. Okay. So I could say we're the most commercial of all the Indian Jews, you could say, because we're like born and raised in Mumbai and another suburban city which is called Thane. It's basically the Ramat Gan of India, you could say, but it's 30 kilometers from Mumbai. So I grew up in a city called Thane. Mm-hmm. So Mumbai and Thane collectively has the Bene Israeli community, which has been living for years. And it was pretty interesting because back when I was growing up and my parents basically grew up, there was no social media. So there was no way to know. Yeah. They thought, basically the community thought, when I say community, is the Indian community, thought, are you Christians? Because they see our weddings and it looks like it's a Christian wedding. A woman wearing a white gown, a man wearing a tuxedo, something like that. And I'm like, no, we are completely different. So that was that. There was a lot of awareness that we had to create as a community for the Indian audiences. But now that social media is accessible to everybody, people know who Jews are.
Right.
Okay.
But one second, the community in Mumbai is it's attached, it's there for a long time. Mm-hmm. What kind of, do they work in certain jobs? What is the demographic outlook of the people? Are they educated? Are they, what in the socioeconomic ladder are they in India? Just so we get an understanding of who they are.
Okay. So long story short, most of them are in upper middle class and let's say the upper class.
Yeah.
Most of us are educated, or the focus of the community has always been on education and growth and thriving and building something together. I am myself a pharmacist.
So Jews?
Yes.
Oh, my mom's a pharmacist. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Jews and also like the Hindus.
Yes. We'll get into that later. So 5.5 years ago, you're growing up in India and you decided to move here to Israel. We're in Israel right now. For those of us who don't know, what made you move to Israel?
Well, technically, I did not want to move.
Okay.
My parents actually decided to move as a family. I came here with my family, my parents and my sister and myself. The year of 2020, the first quarter, something like that. I have always wanted to go to the United States. You know, the concept of the American dream was also very, very popular in India. And the idea of going to America was such that I would pursue my career and also find a Jewish husband, right? Because there's so many Jews in America, so there probably shouldn't be a problem.
I grew up in New York, so yeah, a lot of Jews.
Right? But for some reason, it did not work out. And then my parents were like, you know what? We should give this a try. If it works out, great. If not, we can always come back.
Yeah.
And then we ended up moving here and we never left. I mean, I wanted to run away. But
Was that bad in the beginning?
Yeah, because I came just before COVID. I did not have a soft landing. Everybody was like, chutzpah on steroids. And as somebody who comes from India, you're used to a softer culture, polite. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then the war happened. I mean, back to back, the first 5 years have been crazy for us, but we're still here. So that says a lot about us.
So are you now happy here?
I'm getting there.
You're still not 100% happy.
I mean, I have good days and I have bad days, right? Most days I'm happy because I feel like I found my purpose, which
Yes.
we'll talk about in a minute. But back at the time when I was in a new country, pivoting, I'm not a pharmacist. I'm not doing anything in
Right.
pharmacy anymore. I've pivoted completely. So I was figuring out everything, and then also COVID happened.
Yes,
So
which
nothing
was
was working
horrible
out
here.
for me.
Which was horrible here, and we're not going to get into that because we're not doing politics per se, but it was a horrible situation. Objectively, people weren't talking with each other, and for Israelis that like to scream at each other all day, not talking was making things a lot worse here. And then we had this like political, all the protests here where everyone was hating each other, and then we had the war with October 7th. How did you... You're here, you're Indian, you're not used to, I guess, constant war and sirens all over the place. How, your family, how did you take this suddenly craziness?
I think at the back of our minds, we knew this would happen, but I had never experienced this firsthand.
Yes.
Right? And talking about Jews, you always grew up with anti-Semitism. Now, as somebody who's grown up Jewish in India, I never faced that. So I knew of the concept, but I only experienced it firsthand in Israel. That's funny.
Yes.
I think for the first few months, we were just in shock. We didn't know how to react. We had a couple of friends reach out to us, ask us, and we just didn't know what to say because we were still processing ourselves. It took us a while, but now I feel like, okay, we've gone through this. We can deal with this. We have accepted.
Did you feel part of the, is like, because you were having difficulty being here because of it is a crazy place. I mean, objectively, it's like there's no day here that's regular because everything's crazy, either war or other things. We just had a terrorist attack like last week where 2 people were murdered at a bus stop. There's always something happening. So you're here. Did you feel, because there was a sense after October 7th, everyone here came together. It's sad that it takes such a thing to make people come together, but did you feel also part of it? Because you were having trouble fitting in. And then this happens and everyone here comes together. Did you also feel part of it? Did you feel that you were coming together? Do you understand my question?
Yes and no. I'll tell you
Okay.
why. Because I think it also depends where you live. I live in Tel Aviv. Now, Tel Aviv is mostly like Anglo-American, British, Australian.
In your area of Tel Aviv? Because
I believe so.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's break that down. Not Tel Aviv.
Yes.
Okay? There aren't many Indians or Indian Jews that live there.
Right.
So their point of view is very different than mine. So I necessarily couldn't relate or like process the way they were processing. Okay? And for me, it was like all together. So I shut down emotionally for the first few months.
Wow.
Because I didn't know how to deal with it, so I shut down. I wasn't talking to anybody. I wasn't even expressing
Oh my God, you
to
can
anybody.
talk to us. But yeah.
Now that I know you.
So, wow. Okay, so
But-
then a few months passed by and what happens
But
then?
what changed was the Iran-Israel war, where my family was personally affected.
Why?
Okay, I think you don't know about this. Remember, there was a ballistic missile that fell in Tel Aviv.
Yes.
My family was affected. It fell 50 meters away from
your house,
from
the
the apartment. And I was with them when it happened. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, it could have been us, but it fell in the parking lot. So thank God. But I mean, that
Wow.
apartment where we were in the safety room, we saw the door blow up on my sister. She was sitting right in front of the door.
Is she okay?
She's fine. Thank God, we're all okay. But in the moment, we thought we were gone.
Of course.
We didn't know if, like, is this like, are we on the other side or?
Right.
But everything fell in place. But it took some time. That changed for me because it personally affected me, and it kind of like I knew what we were going through as a family. And then a lot of people reached out and helped financially, or like I don't know, sharing my story.
Wow.
or just, just being there for me physically. You want to go to the doctor? Let me take you. Do you want a contact of a physiotherapist?
Strangers, like strangers would send
Mama,
us.
strangers, people have, I raised a financial campaign because my parents lost a lot of their stuff. And I said, it's impossible at this point to rent another apartment and buy these new things. So like other people, we also started a campaign, and a lot of people anonymously donated money. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Beautiful. Okay, so then you started feeling part of it, and you're staying here so far. By the way, as someone who grew up in America, and still my dad lives there, my brother lives there, my aunt, I don't recommend it. Unless you want to live in like Florida, then okay. But in New York, they don't. We saw who won to be the mayor, so I wouldn't recommend. It's not that here is that great, but okay. Another question that's interesting to me is that you're living here for 5.5 years, but you're keeping your Indian, I would say, identity. You still identify as Indian in your way of thinking, I think, and the way you talk and the people you interact with. Like we just heard, among Anglos that also speak English, you feel that that's not you. So first of all, what does it mean for you to be Indian, I guess, and how does it make you feel a little bit a stranger to people here because of that? Like, how do you explain how your identity is here, I guess?
Okay, so just like you, there are more people who probably don't know of our existence.
Yes.
Right? And they're like, oh my gosh, you're so cool. Can you tell us more? And I'm like, oh, this has been my life, because I've been explaining this to the Hindus and now to my Jewish friends. So this has been I've accepted the fact that I will have to do this for the rest of my life, is to explain what the Indian Jewish community is. Number two, when I came here, you won't believe, there's a community of 80,000 Indian Jews that live in Israel.
Yes.
And there isn't enough representation on social media. Because when you come here, you look forward to connecting to somebody who's been doing well. I didn't find that. And I felt so alone. Yes, there are people, but it's not what I was looking for. So that's why I began to make content on India and Israel.
Until you came to Israel, you didn't do that at all, right?
At all, no. I started my channel
So how did
here.
you know to even like just the basic technical thing of filming and going to events and editing it? And you're a pharmacist. You're not a video editor. Like you obviously, now you have a giant channel, which is amazing.
Thank you.
But you started from nothing without really knowing what you were doing, I think.
I think one thing that I had that most people don't have when they begin is obsession. I was obsessed with being a YouTuber. I have been consuming YouTube for, 10, 12 years now. I've always wanted to have a channel, but I didn't know what to talk about. I can't cook. I didn't own any makeup. I didn't have a boyfriend to have a couples channel. And I wanted to talk about being an Indian Jew, but back in India, I was like, who's going to watch my content? When I came to Israel, I'm like, okay, this has purpose, representation, voice, right? I want people to look at me and say like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. And eventually I learned on the job, right? I actually had a friend get on Zoom and teach me how to edit on Adobe. That I got obsessed. With my first salary, I bought my first iPhone and I started to film. I was exploring. I was not ashamed and not embarrassed to make
This
mistakes.
was how long ago? When you first started?
End of 2020.
Aha, so before the war. But after the war, it seems to me, does it make sense that it exploded because interest in Israel exploded?
Okay, so let me clarify, because everybody thinks like my channel kind of exploded after the war. It had started to explode before the war.
Right.
Like it was starting to, and then of course the war gave it a push.
Right, because everyone was interested in what was happening here.
Everybody was looking for what was the current state in Israel. And India being the biggest population, I think a lot of Indians were curious, are there any Indians in Israel that have been affected? And that's how it started to grow from there.
Yes. So another thing that I find interesting about India, and I wanted to get your insight, is the fact that whenever I ask if there is a history of anti-Semitism in India, because in Europe, There obviously was. My grandparents were Holocaust survivors. Their whole families were wiped out. In America, we now see what's happening. And there was always a strain of anti-Semitism, although it wasn't institutional per se, but it always was there. In India, at least among the mainstream, there's obviously some Islamic communities that don't really like us, and were protests against Israel and on like the fringes. But of the mainstream Indian, I think there's really no anti-Semitism to speak about. It just isn't there. And I spoke with a famous Indian commentator who explained to me that the way they look at, like in European anti-Semitism, they'll say the Jews control the banks, the Jews control the money, the Jews are controlling everyone, the Jews are so successful, it must be that they are taking it all from us. The Indians look at it and say, oh my God, that's so great. We need to learn from them, right? It's the exact, they think the Jews are so influential, but they think that's a good thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Oh,
okay. I think there's like a few things that I think people just probably overlook, because Israel, I think, focuses heavily on the West in terms of advocacy, financial investments, or technology, right? But as somebody who comes from India, I feel like the next decade is going to be India-Israel relations. But as somebody who's grown up, and I feel like, I'm not saying I understand it better, but it's not rocket science. Now, I want to break this down for you. Let's talk about the religious aspect.
Yes.
In Hinduism, in no way Jews are, like, we are not even mentioned anywhere. We aren't like the wrongdoers or, the enemy of God, or they don't need exclusive access for salvation. All right? So that makes it fundamentally, we're just disconnected that way, right? Next. When Jews were running away, India gave them shelter. You have a living example.
Also, during World War II, a lot of Jews ran towards the east into India,
east, right?
From the Holocaust and everything. Yeah.
Yes. And talking about shelter, it's not just shelter, but we were given equal rights. We have about 10 synagogues that are still standing, right? We had access to education, jobs, and building the community, right? The first Miss India was Jewish.
Oh, yeah?
People didn't know that. The general that helped Bangladesh liberate from Pakistan was Jewish, General Jacob, right? So even if we were small in number, we had significant contribution. And Hindus in general, I have to give it credit to the Hindu community because they believe in coexistence and diversity.
Right. And also, before you continue, the Hinduism is very unique that, like Judaism, they're not proselytizing. They don't want us to be part of them. And I don't think they allow us most people from outside to be Hindu, right?
Okay, so there's no concept of conversion.
Right.
Like, for example, let's say in Christianity or
Islam.
Judaism or Islam or monotheistic religions per se, there is a process, right? You have to study, and then...
Maybe.
Okay, maybe. Now, in Hinduism, it's like if you decide to be Hindu, that's your choice. Okay, we are not going to, let's say, force you or convince you. This is what it is. You're welcome to be a part of our tribe.
Yeah.
Simple. And they don't just like, it's not like the concept of coexistence and diversity is not theoretical. They kind of like, it's, what do you say? They practice it.
Yeah.
And most minorities are pretty safe. You have Christians, Jains, Buddhists, Tibetans, Farsis, and they're doing quite well in their own industries and realms.
So that's the first thing, the religious aspect. But
Yes.
what about the cultural aspect? Because I think that's, it obviously has, you can't take culture out of religion, but still, there's a certain thing about Indians that they like us, right? Just on a natural level.
There are parallels, right? We are, I don't know how to put this, but we focus on education. Education is very important for us. Number 2, giving back to the community and building something. Both communities focus a lot on that. Number 3, get married, have kids. I was shocked when I had Israeli uncles and aunties tell me, oh my gosh, you're in your late 20s. Oh, now I'm 31. But when I came here, they're like, you should get married. And I thought, Oh, I thought only Indian uncles and aunties were really excited to
Oh my
get you
God, you
married.
didn't have the concept of like the Jewish grandmother that was like screaming at you to get married in
Listen,
India?
I grew up in an Indian Jewish family, so it's
They
like
don't have
double of
that?
everything. Of course.
So why did you were surprised that the
No,
Jews here
Israel.
also?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I meant.
No,
It's like
everyone here has lots of kids. We have more kids than Indians per couple.
I agree.
Okay. I have 3 kids, 4, 3, and 1. So we're doing it very fast.
It's a bracha.
Yeah, bracha that you don't sleep with. But yeah. Okay. So having big, nice family life is very important.
Yes,
And in both cultures.
in both cultures, and then just in terms of. I know democracies. I mean, democracy in the Middle East is very different than democracy in the West and then democracy in the East, right? But just I think focusing on positive and yes, we have these problems, and what can we do about it? Solution mindset is something that we focus on, right? We have problems within the country, in India and in Israel, all right?
Yes. Tell me about it. Yeah.
But we are not the ones where we are like, okay, this is our problem. We fell on our face. What can we do about it?
Right, but and another thing that's interesting is the aspect of we were both conquered by the British, and we both gained independence about the same time.
Yes.
I think a year apart or something, probably
Yes.
less than a year. And so do Indians know that? Is that something that they understand?
Definitely. Like India gained independence in 1947. We gained in 1948.
Right, yeah.
And then we also have that problem of India, Pakistan. You know, the Brits came in.
Wait, that we'll
Zoop.
get into about the mutual, I guess, enemies.
Challenges.
So, yeah, the
Okay.
mutual. So first of all, in terms of Jews before Israel, there is no. You agree? Is that true? That there is no anti-Semitism in mainstream Indian culture? It's not a thing.
Now I cannot say 100%. Maybe
there
when I
is
was
it
growing
creeping
up,
in?
it is. I mean, social media is everywhere, so you can't control that.
So there are Indians on a significant level nowadays that hate Jews.
I wouldn't say significant, but it's creeping in.
You see it?
I see it. I mean, personally, in my friend circle, I've had some radical
Oh,
friends who have, gone off, and I'm like, okay, thank God, because then I know
yeah? Yes.
where you belong. But I mean, I see, and you can control a 1.5
Yeah.
plus billion population. You cannot.
Is it a difference between, do you see it, the new Jewish hate that you're describing, is that something that's unique to certain, I'd say maybe religions in India or sects in India, or is it just, you can't pinpoint it to where it's coming from?
I think Indians themselves are going through a problem. I don't think it's about us. It's about them at this point.
Isn't that always Jew hatred? That it's not really that the Jews are the problem. It's you that's the problem. You're taking it out on the Jews. I think
But in India it's different. Like they genuinely don't take it out on us.
Right.
Except for like that 1%. It's just Indians themselves have realized that since the Brits have left, I think the society has been our own enemy.
Explain.
For example, wow, this goes like, it's deep rooted, right? Because the Brits really messed up with our heads. For example, being fair skinned is seen as beauty standards.
You mean being whiter?
Yes, being whiter or fair skinned is seen as more beautiful. Or if you speak English, that's equated to being educated.
Don't all Indians speak English pretty much, even if it's a second language? Don't they understand at least English?
Yes and no. Gen Z has more access to internet, so they're able to, I mean, even if they live in remote villages, they have access, they can learn off of YouTube. Compared to, let's say, my parents who were like Gen X. There was no internet at the time. They went to schools. If you were privileged enough to go to a good private school or a good public school that taught English, yes.
Okay.
Right? So it depends on the generation.
So those are the two things that you mentioned so far. As being whiter equates to being more attractive, and knowing English, the better you know English, I guess, the smarter you're considered.
Yes.
And what else that they screwed with you?
And if you have, let's say, multiple degrees, then what do you say? You deserve a high paying job. I mean, I understand if you're a doctor because you put in so much time and many years of your life.
Yeah.
But if you don't, I feel, in my personal opinion, you don't need to study MBA to understand business. There are so many entrepreneurs that have no degree and are doing so well.
Right, but if you're a company that wants to hire someone, it's one of the ways you measure their capabilities.
If you have a degree, then we'll have you. And Gen Z are like, we don't care about education. We care about what we bring to the table. You want to get the job done, we'll get it for you. We don't need a degree.
It's a good question. In America, I think they're also talking about it a lot. The question is, how does a company assess whether you can actually get the job done? Right. I think but that has nothing to do with that. You think that has to do with British influence from the past?
Yes, because Indians were deprived of education. In general. And when you don't have like basic education, the country can go to shit.
Yeah.
Right? So when
we see it all around us, with the countries around us. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, basic education is needed, right? But when I talk about technical education, now you can learn, you can take the help of AI and do it, or just do it off of YouTube. But basic education, or just like general etiquettes, that we were deprived of. So when people saw India, they're like, oh my gosh, like poor villagers, or I don't know, they think of Slumdog Millionaire.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And I have another thing that's interesting about this. It is interesting. The fact that I think, and this has been with a number of experts that I've talked about of India and to Indians, is that during in the first number of decades of India's existence as an independent state, the feeling among Indians was that a sort of shame, like not being proud of being Indian, like looking up at other cultures like they're better. And in the past decade or so, there's a revival of Indian patriotism. I don't really understand why. I think it's a good thing in general.
I think I know why.
Okay, yeah.
I think number one,
Wait, is it true? Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
I mean, I grew up. I mean, I'm born in 1994, so
okay.
I mean, it would be
1994. Okay.
So it probably would be a relevant question for my parents or my grandparents. But my point being, I definitely see the difference, because I think number one, Indians in the diaspora are doing very well for themselves, right? They are now CEOs and founders of Fortune 500s. You didn't have that back in the day. Number two, however people feel about the Modi government, I think he's done a good job at putting India on the map, right? People feel a certain kind of way about him. That's their choice.
But everyone in the world knows who he is.
Who he is, who India is, what is India doing at the moment, in terms of not just agriculture, but also defense, AI, and other sectors that people do not expect.
I think it's the fourth or fifth largest fastest growing economy in the world. And the standard of living has been going up, like dramatically.
Definitely. I mean, it's tough when you have to undo a lot of things with this population, but it will happen over time, and people are acknowledging, right? Now, the Indian accent was considered as a punchline, not anymore.
Now it's considered that you're actually smart. Like in America, if you have an Indian accent, a lot of times people will assume that you're like in tech or business.
They're like, oh, you're an engineer. I'm like, no.
Engineer. Well, there's a sort of like double thing, whether you're either... there'll be Joe Biden had a very racist comment when he was running. You remember that in 7-Eleven you'll hear all the time Indian accents.
He said that.
Something like that. And so there's the two ways of looking at it. There's the racist sort of like bad way where they're all like these small groceries, 7-Eleven and all that. And on the other hand, you'll have people who say they're all engineers or whatever. I think it's usually in the middle. You have that, and you have that like any other place.
I mean, you can control everybody's mouth, but Indians have been silent achievers, and I mean, it's about time. Everything I think it's our, what do you say, decade or like our era?
But the reason why there's people are being proud of Indian is because they see Indians on the world stage being successful.
Right.
I think that's what's happening. I think there's another thing also that people are, it's not just being successful, there's a sort of like change in the national mood. like sometimes it comes out negatively where there's like we only like ourselves, we don't like other religions, other people. That it's definitely happening on the fringes in India, but in general it's like we are proud of being India. We're proud of our heritage, we're proud of our history, and that wasn't in the past.
It wasn't. It was like kind of embarrassing. Also, I've spoken to a couple of Indian Jews who moved in the 80s
To hear?
and the 90s, and they're like, they did face a lot of racism, and they were not given priority.
Here.
Yes,
Yeah,
here.
okay. But that's every immigrant group here. Everyone hates the person who comes after them.
Really?
Yes. Well, my grandparents were Holocaust survivors, but Ashkenazi. But when they came, the original Israelis looked down upon the Holocaust survivors. Like you went like sheep to the slaughterhouse. That was the thing. The term, that derogatory term to people like my grandparents were sabonim, your soap bars, because they were made into soap bars in Auschwitz and all these other places. That was the curse word. These people went through the gas chambers and then were called soaps when they came. And then obviously they hated the Mizrahi Jews that came after them, and the Mizrahi Jews hated the Ethiopians, and everyone hated the Russians, and I assume the Indians were somewhere in the between over there. But
I did not know that existed.
everyone hates everyone here, but then everyone likes everyone at some point. I think
At some point.
more, but it takes time.
Just give it time.
But also, there's another thing that I find fascinating is that when you look at, this is not politics per se, but the way the Indian governments have looked on Israel, I think it shows what we're talking about. Meaning, you had the governments until pretty much Modi that looked on Israel as a colonialist state. What they said was, basically, we went through colonialism. The Brits did all these bad things to us. The Jews in Israel are doing the same thing to the Arabs. That was basically and that is why also we are going to be in the pretty much in the Arab bloc, vote in the UN against Israel all the time. And then the new way of looking at things, at least on the political level, is totally different. You have the Prime Minister of India coming here and going on the beach with his pants with Bibi in the water.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, it was like from a shot from a Bollywood movie.
Yes.
Right?
And that would never happen 20 years ago. Never. No matter who the prime minister was, because the way they looked at us was a sort, and the reason I think also in terms of like perceptively is that they were, it's a sort of, they were in a victim mentality type of mood. They felt like they were victims and what we were doing was victimizing. And now they feel strong. They feel in control of their destiny, and they can open up to us also, and we can be friends. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just the way.
No, that's true. Also, like, I think the brain drain was also a thing in India. A lot of the talented people in India were leaving, either to go to America or other, let's say, countries. And now because India has, let's say, more opportunity, people don't want to leave, which is good, which means all the talent stays in India, and there's a possibility to take India to the next level.
And also we saw this on the fact that the United States under Trump was doing all these tariffs and threatening India and everything, and the response was, okay, we don't care.
Yeah, we don't care. Like,
and that
what are you going to do?
And that wouldn't have been like 20 years ago.
Because also the Modi government has strongly encouraged Make in India, so you're not dependent on other countries.
But also you go to Russia and you know that you have leverage, so that America needs you too. And I think also another thing, that a mistake of America under Trump is that you can see that they think this, that China is their major threat. And that's where we can work. We, America, I'm not in America anymore, but my family is there. We, as America and the West, should be working with India to isolate China. The biggest strategic mistake by the Americans was to go and say, we're against China, but we're also going to screw India. And you're throwing India into the Chinese and Russian camp. And it's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense on just the strategic level. And instead of like made in China, you can make made in India, and they're your friends. They're not trying to destroy America like the Chinese are.
I think we need to focus more on collaboration than conflict.
Yeah.
And you can already see American companies moving to India, right? Take Apple as an example. It has moved its manufacturing unit from China to India. So, I mean, it might be a bit rocky, the transition, but it will happen.
I agree. And also, like, the differences with all the problems in government bureaucracy in India, which I understand are very problematic. Because I've interviewed numerous Indian businessmen, because I work in a business paper in Israel, and they all say that another one of the things that makes us the same is that the government is torturing business people here and in India. So like an example is we interviewed a person who has an Indian human resources company, and after October 7th. All the Palestinian workers were not allowed in because of security reasons. And the government decided to talk with the Indian government to bring in Indian workers, especially in construction. And he has the largest human resources company for Indian workers. They have in Dubai and in all these places, thousands of Indian workers. So the Indian government went to him and said, the Israelis are asking us. And he said, okay, I'm going to do it. And they made him work so much in terms of paperwork. And he's like, maybe it's not worth it.
But did he end up?
Finally, they brought in thousands of workers here. And it's a very interesting dynamic because the Indian workers, for example, in Dubai or in Qatar, wherever, they live in sort of ghettos where they don't meet the locals. Literally, they never see them.
Really?
They have encampments. So they'll go to work and then they'll be driven back to where they live. And they're basically second class, and they have their own supermarkets pretty much. And I assume Indians who are watching our show will know what I'm talking about, because there's a lot of people that worked at some point outside of India. In Israel, like the apartment next to me, there's a bunch of Indian employees at one of the apartments. We shop at the same supermarket. So he spoke about that they had to teach Indian workers who are coming for a year or two, what does it mean to talk with Israelis culturally? And they teach them about Judaism before they come, and like a little bit Hebrew words. And they don't do that for any other country because there's no need.
Got it. So, I think that's nice, because I think for somebody who does not know of or about Israel or Judaism, it can be, oh my gosh, what's happening?
And everyone's screaming at each other here.
Right.
In India, they're much nicer.
I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. Indians can also be super rude, but just the general fabric of the community is your first reaction is not scream. Try and be polite. If they don't listen, then you scream. You know what I mean?
But you do see all these videos. I don't know. Maybe it's very weird. Maybe you could explain it to me. As Westerners, we see videos from India of like hundreds of thousands of people pushing each other onto a train. But when we talk to Indians, they're very super like nice, and there's like almost to like you feel bad to be an Israeli next to them. So square that for us.
Okay, that definitely is a contrast. Okay, so I think the video that I've watched is probably from Mumbai local.
There's a lot of videos like that, yeah.
But let's say I'm giving an
or
example.
Or the rickshaws that go in the street, and like everyone's crashing into each other.
India is like beauty and chaos, right?
Yeah.
But okay, so the scenario that you're talking about is, I'm going to give you an example, a Mumbai local train, because everybody's rushing to work and you cannot miss that train. Okay, yes, the frequency is better than Israel. We have a train every 3 minutes.
Okay, but there's a lot more people.
Yes. So if you miss that train, you're screwed. All right, so you have to get your way in, but there's also like a way of getting into the train there, because my mother has traveled all her life for education and also for work, and me myself, I have traveled. So there's a way, and if you don't follow it, people are gonna push you out.
It's a secret way.
It's a secret way. Like if you are, let's say, a regular traveler, you should know the rules. Right? There's a line. If you don't want to get off, you wait in that line inside the train. If you want to get off, you get off from the other side, and then there's no line when you're getting in. Just if you get a little bit of space, you just like squeeze in, get in, and try to find a seat.
Is it true that India, what is the because one of the things I read about a lot is the way Indian society treats women. Can we talk about that a little bit? The difference, let's say, or similarities between Israel and India in terms of you're a young woman. How do you look at it?
Okay, there definitely is a lot of difference. I would say good and bad, right? Now, growing up, my parents were always cautious. As a girl child or as their daughter, they always made sure that I was safe. Now, I grew up in a safe city, but not all cities are safe, unfortunately. There are a lot of, let's say, eve teasing cases, rape cases, or just harassment cases that happen all over the country. And people are really angry about it because...
Yes, there was protests and all this, yeah.
And for some reason, it takes so much time to give this, the person who committed the crime, punishment.
You mean the trial and everything takes a lot of time?
Takes a lot of time, or they just get released. They just get a bail.
Is it a cultural thing that it's taking time to change the culture, but it's slowly you feel changing?
I think the younger generation, they're like fed up. They're like, we can't deal with this anymore.
So they understand the problem with it.
They understand. The older generation, you know how it is.
Yeah.
The older you get, the slower it gets in terms of change, unfortunately. I have felt safe and unsafe in India at some points. There have been times where I'm traveling back home and I'm in a cab and I'm on... My father would not sleep till I was back home.
Wow.
Even if it's
that bad?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's that bad. It's scary. I would be on a call with him to make sure like I'm okay, or I would just call one of my other friends to make sure there's somebody on the phone while I get home.
Wow.
I've had friends who were touched inappropriately while commuting, even on a local train or an auto rickshaw or a cab. Whenever I travel in a cab, I have to share the location with my family members just to know where I am.
Do the authorities in general know that this is a thing that's happening?
Yes.
And are they trying to, is there, one of the things when I grew up was there was a sort of, the government was explaining to people that things that you can't do. So for example, when I was in Israel first, I moved to Israel alone at the age of 15. And whenever I would go to a wedding, people would be smoking indoors. And then there was a change, I think maybe 5-6 years after I came here, where they didn't allow anyone to smoke indoors. And then people continued smoking indoors, and they started doing commercials on TV. You cannot smoke indoors anymore. And then they started finding people lots of money. Is there the same type of thing happening in India in this thing?
Yes. For example, we have on a train, you have different compartments. You have a special compartment just for the ladies. So there are no men allowed there. And let's say, I think after 10, I don't know what the time is, but let's say it's past 9 or 10, there is a police officer in the ladies' compartment just to make sure the ladies are okay.
Wow.
Right? Or I think there's an emergency number that you could call if you're in danger. And I think the men have become more aware that this is a problem.
Yeah.
So if somebody's getting harassed, other men will run and walk and say and then beat that person up also.
Okay, good.
People get beat up in India.
Yeah, well, it happens everywhere. I think lastly, what's interesting to me is, and we see this especially in America, is the same people that hate the Jews hate the Hindus. We see this, I'll just give an example, that the vice president of the United States' wife is a Hindu. I think she's Indian also, Uma Vance. And the same, Nick Fuentes called her, I don't want to say what, but an Indian slur. There's people that say, we'll never vote for him because his wife is an Indian slur. We see Vivek Ramaswamy is running for governor of Ohio, and there's people saying we should vote for his opponent because they're white, and he's not Indian. I think he's Sri Lankan, but he's a Hindu. So we see that all over. We've spoke about. We're gonna have an episode on anti-Hinduism. Is that something that the people are people that you talk to aware that we have the same mutual haters? that people who hate Jews also hate Hindus and Indians?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because I mean, I don't know how to put this because it's so complex, and I know exactly what I want to say. I just want to make sure I say it in the right way. Is we focus on growth. The people that hate us don't.
Yes.
Right? It's more on suppression, expansion.
And they're all depressed, by the way. They're all sad and...
You think so?
Yes. I think that if you're spending your time hating people who you don't know and generalizing like that, usually your life isn't that great.
I always wonder in this economy, how do you have so much free time? Like, go work, earn some money.
You have much more free time than you used to.
You think so?
Yeah, you used to have to actually go do things. And now you could sit in your house and order food online, be on your computer all day. You literally don't have to
How are
leave
these people making money unless they're getting funded?
Oh, you have people who are children of rich people in America, especially. The age of that you leave your house has gone way up. So
Really?
kids are staying at home. Nobody's getting married, so they don't have families to deal with. They don't have children, even if they do get married, so they have lots of time on their hands. They're very spoiled. They're very sad. They're depressed. The amount of people that are on antidepressants is like through the roof, ridiculous in my opinion. It's being given out like candy. And so you're all day at home, you're all day depressed, you need to take it out on someone. There's a certain segment of the population that'll take it out in either against Jews, against Hindus, or against people that they feel are the other. And which is why I think the Jews always suffer from this, because we are always the other. And in this case, in the West, the Hindus and the Indians and all these people are also the other. So
Definitely. But I think there are two different reasons. I think number one, I think for us, it's more religious, or in terms of, or just being an inferior race, right?
Exactly.
I think for the Hindus, it's more of they seem to be grabbing somebody else's opportunity because they focus on education and their life.
But the Jews too. By the way, I just want to say interestingly, and tell me if you agree, I'll just give you my opinion, that in America, and I'm only talking about America because that's where I'm from and I know a little bit, Indians are overachievers. There's no doubt about it. They're very successful as a group. I think their income is higher than whites, and Jews too. Mm-hmm. And so in a culture that, especially in the last decade or two, there's a sort of victim. Everyone wants to show how much they're a victim and how bad their life is and how the man is putting them down. And that's the way we also show how we appreciate people, because the more you're a victim, the more we like you. And the more you're someone who's successful, the more we dislike you. And if you're a victim, it never means that it's your fault. It never means that you didn't make good decisions in life. It always means that someone else did something to you. And so when you see two groups that objectively haven't been given, a ladder up, that are still very successful, it destroys the narrative and it makes you really hate them, because it shows that even if you are a victim, you can succeed.
People don't like that.
No, they don't like it.
I agree there is an overlap, right? And I think the reasons kind of like shuffle.
Yeah, there's always a lot of reasons, but
Right.
still, I think those are two, because we talk
Major.
a lot about in America about the sort of woke culture where you look at everyone in a sort of like victimizer mentality. And then you have a group that's objectively almost all, most hate crimes in America happen to Jews, overwhelmingly. FBI statistics, look it up. I know people are like, oh my God, yeah, Jews are the most hate crimes by far. And then the other groups, like we said, and you can think about it. The Jews are not someone who was given a ladder up. We came from the ashes, and it's very...
And we make like 0.2% of the world population.
Yes. I think less, no? At this
that.
point, we're becoming smaller and smaller.
It's kind of scary at this
Yes.
point. We need more Jewish babies.
Yes. Well, okay. So I just want to say a number of things that we learned with you during this episode, this conversation. So number one is that India and Israel have a lot in common. We are two countries that are hated by people, but also succeed and are growing. And Israel has a lot to give to India, and India has a lot to give to Israel. We spoke about, for example, the workers that came to Israel, which is a good example, but also the fact that India is growing in its high-tech industry. Israel can cooperate a lot with that. And secondly, the fact that there's no innate hatred between the two peoples. Like, there's a good reason for people to like each other.
There's a natural, let's say, allyship or friendship that kind of forms because there's no reason to hate religiously. And I feel like because most people like have faith stems down, it's like deep-rooted. Now, if you completely get that out, I think you give it a chance to grow naturally.
Right. And we also have mutual enemies.
Yes.
Because we didn't really talk about it, but we have because of the way the colonialists that left us here screwed with our maps. The Indians were screwed with Pakistan, and the Israelis were screwed with everyone here beside us. And I think on a natural level, especially my friend, actually in New York, I lived for about 5 years as neighbors to, if you remember the terrorist attack in Mumbai, so the Chabad house.
Really?
So Moishi's parents were my neighbors as growing up in Crown Heights, where I grew up in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh my gosh.
And then they moved to India to be the Shaliach of Chabad.
Right.
And so I think it comes to me that the people who terrorize Indians also terrorize Jews and Israelis. And I think it's just on a natural level. We both have the same, obviously different circumstances, but same enemies, same ideologies that hate us, that want to destroy us. And so on that level, you have this mutual interest. We have a lot of similarities, but we also have people who both want to destroy us. So it's like the three pillars.
It's called shared trauma.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so now let's look forward. You are here. Where are you taking your channel? Have you found your Jewish chatan? That's why you came here.
I think so.
Mazal tov.
It's in process.
Okay, so first of all, Mazel tov. Secondly, where are we going from here? You personally.
Me.
Yeah, like the channel. You're not going to be a pharmacist, I assume.
Hell
unless
no.
you want.
No, I mean, I love being a pharmacist. I just do not want to practice it. It's not a personality match. I'm going to give you a little bit of context so you know where I'm going. The reason why I named it Moses in Israel is Moses is my last name. All right. Also, the OG Moses never made it to Israel. I was like, you know what? You have a Moses from the East. So why not bring him to Israel? He did all the work, freed the Jewish people and led them to Israel. And
he stayed out.
Yeah. Chaval.
Yeah.
And the third reason is spiritual. Now consider, the story goes, right? Moses runs away and then he gets lost in the desert and a tribe finds him and that's where he finds his wife.
Right.
Right? Now consider Moses as my ancestors that fled. All right? They were like running away. They came to India. Consider India as the tribe that accepted them and made them one of their own. And that was the reason I named it Moses in Israel. So that Moses parted seas and led our people out of Egypt to Israel, whereas this Moses is trying to bridge two ancient civilizations.
Yeah.
That's where my goal is. I am Indian and Jewish. So my goal is to bridge India and Israel. At the moment, one video at a time. And in the coming years, hopefully, one business at a time. Could be through technology, bringing Indian talent to tech companies, or having Israeli companies set up manufacturing units in India. Or could be having Indians come to Israel for a tourism, right?
That's something that you have already started to like.
It's in process. I'm like researching, talking to people, talking to potential partners that could help me implement these projects. Because I wouldn't say I'm the first one doing it, but I am technically, filming my journey as I do it. Nobody's done that before.
Who was the most, can you give us the top 2-3 conversations you had that you liked on your channel?
On my channel?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think the first one is I interviewed an IDF soldier. He's in the special units. His name is Staff Cohen.
Okay.
And he broke it down for me. As somebody who lives in Israel but didn't serve in the IDF, I feel like I missed out.
You didn't miss out.
You think so?
I was in the idea of, I mean, it depends what you do. Like, you can literally go for 3 years and really feel like you did nothing and wasted your life.
Okay.
And you could also do something very important. So it all depends on your position in the army. So most
Fair.
likely you didn't miss out.
Okay. Let's thank you for saying that. Now I feel less bad. But he broke it down for somebody who does not completely understand how the IDF operates. Because
In the war, you mean?
In the war or just in general, right? Now he's been serving actively since the war. And then as simple as what is the difference between a friendly fire and an enemy fire? And I'm like, wow, I did not know that it goes, like, the details are in these things, or his experiences with coming face to face to a terrorist. I'm like, oh, this is crazy, right? Because you only see, for somebody like me who lives as a civilian, you watch these things either in Fauda or in movies, right? So I think that was a really great episode, and I was able to bring him to the Indian audiences. So they enjoyed his episode very much, and they're asking for another episode with him.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
And who else in terms of the Indian people that you've interviewed?
I have actually, I wouldn't say Indian. I have interviewed Israelis who've been to India or lived in India.
Interesting.
They've had very interesting experiences.
There's Israelis that love India, that go there like all the time.
I've had two, actually. Shout out to Mayan Klein and Nirit Yaakov. I don't know, probably you know Mayan. She's kind of like opened a Chabad house in south of India. So if Israelis want to go to India and just want to spend Shabbat or like major Chagim, it's called Beit Alev.
Okay.
So, if you want kosher food, you can go there. Just go there. She's a Jewish nomad. She lives in India for 6 months of the year.
Wow.
And then she runs Beit Alev. And then I think the rest, she comes to Israel or goes to other countries, something like that. And then the other person, Nirit, actually cooks. She runs a business where she cooks Indian food for Israelis.
Is she Indian?
No, she's Israeli.
So she studied Indian food.
No, she didn't even study. She went there. She actually stayed.
She ate the Indian food and she loved it.
She loved the culture so much that she brought it back with her, and now she does kind of like fine dining in her
I can't eat Indian food. It's too spicy for me. I can't. I'm an Ashkenazi American that loves everything sweet.
Me being Indian, I can't eat spicy food.
Oh, yeah? There's Indian food that isn't spicy?
This is a stereotype. Yes, Indian food is flavorful, not necessarily spicy.
Okay, I need to talk to you after this episode. And lastly, one thing that I told you and you didn't know about was, and I think our Indian audience would be interested, and maybe not our Indian, it's just an interesting thing, that in Israel there's a phenomena where especially older women have become addicted to Bollywood movies. And there's where I live, there's once a week, the city gives them, a hall. They put the big screen on with a projector, and all these elderly, not elderly, like 50, 60.
Let's call them aunties.
Yeah. Like people the age of my mom sit there and watch Bollywood movies, and they dance and they do all this kind of stuff. And it's a little bit like, it's a sort of, and they're usually Mizrahim. And I think the reason is that the music is sometimes very similar, but it's just I don't know the exact cultural reason, but it's very, very interesting. Just on a sociological level.
A lot of the music has Arabic influence.
Yes.
So I think that's why it's
Eastern.
like, it's palatable for the Middle Eastern audiences to actually watch Indian cinema. And also Indian cinema, like, I love that it's dramatic, because why not?
Sometimes it's too dramatic, but
I agree. But that's why it's called a movie.
Right.
But it's up to you, because there are movies that are less dramatic, and for somebody who loves like Rambo kind of movies or like sci-fi, there are movies like that, and there are like rom-coms and like action, but there'll always be some dancing or one song, because Indian audiences are used to having these item numbers, or the actors and the actresses like dancing with their backup dancers and background dancers and stuff like that. It's just the culture. We grew up with that. By the way,
Indian celebrities, we're getting close to finishing, but just curious, Indian celebrities, have there been people that, because in America, for example, Hollywood has all these letters since the war. There's like 2,000 that Hollywood actors and producers and all this signing things against Israel, and then there's 1,700 that are signing a letter pro-Israel. Has there been anything like that in like well-known people in India, entertainment industry, that have signed things against us, for us, stuff like that?
Do you remember All Eyes on Rafah going viral?
Yes.
A lot of the Bollywood stars posted that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But are there any Bollywood stars that support us?
Quietly, yes.
Quite no, but it's weird because most Indians, I think, generally support us.
Yes. Now it's becoming vocal. But we have a lot of silent supporters because there's a reason to it, right? Because most Indians have Hindu friends and Muslim friends, so you don't want to offend your Muslim friends, because by default this seems like a Jews versus Muslim kind of a situation, right? So they don't want to offend anybody. So I have gotten so many messages saying like, I support you, but I cannot publicly accept it. Because
that's so weird, because they hate, not they hate, but there's a lot of Islam Hindu hatred.
Because of the Indian community fabric. Indian Muslims are very different than the Muslims around the world. Okay, they're an exception, but again, I can't talk for the entire community. Right. So, but now a lot of people are like pro-Israel publicly on social media. They're like, we don't care. We see what Pakistan is doing to us. We see what Bangladesh is doing to our Hindu people.
And Israel helped the Indian military with a lot of intelligence and equipment. And how do we know this? Because their ambassador here blurted it out. I'm not sure if he was allowed to do it. And because after that, there was like, they were trying to like play it down. But he did say it on Israeli radio when he was interviewed that Israel helped a lot of the equipment that was used in this short war with Pakistan that just happened.
I think it's public knowledge at this point.
Well, yeah, depends what and how and all that.
Yeah. I agree with the fact that you can't put everything out in the public domain because the enemies are watching closely, and you know. So I completely support that if it's not public knowledge 100%. But I mean, we all know that we are supporting each other in terms of defense, and now it's more like technology, culture. There's so many people from India reaching out saying that, you know, we have courses for Israelis specifically to come and learn Indian classical music.
Oh yeah.
Or Indian instruments or
to
a dance
go to
style.
India or online and stuff?
To India, and they will fund it. The government does it.
The Indian government funds Israelis to come to India to study stuff?
If they're interested to learn Ayurveda, or they're
Can they bring my family with me?
That I'm not sure about. You should get in touch with them. But there are platforms where Israelis can go and learn these things that India or Eastern culture has to offer.
Very nice. Revital, we're out of time, but I have to say that there's a lot of topics that we could have covered more.
Wait for episode 2.
Yes, we'll do it. Guys, please go to Revital's channel. Not because I'm asking you, but because it's worth it. Your channel's good. It's interesting. It's fun. It also tackles a lot of serious issues. Like we spoke today, our conversation was both fun and a lot of like serious things that need improving. I'm a little annoyed that you still don't feel you found your place here.
It takes time. I also I had a, what is it called, hard landing.
Yes, we all had a hard time during that 5-year period, pretty much.
I think when you're moving countries, it's like...
Yes.
And honestly, Israel wasn't my first choice. I think that's why I struggled the most. But
now you're staying here.
Now I am. I definitely see my life here. Everybody asks me, would you go back to India? And I'm like, maybe for a vacation.
For a visit.
For a visit. Or maybe even for 6 months. But like, I, at the moment, do not see myself living there.
Very nice.
But
so, you never know.
But no, you never know. But my goal is to basically bridge so that, you know, even if I'm missing India, I have it close to me.
And there isn't, not where you live, you said, but in general, there's a lot of Indian Jews here. And they have a very strong identity. From the ones that I know, a lot of them feel very Indian.
Definitely. In terms of food, language, also like when you go to weddings, there are Indian Jewish weddings. I don't know if you've been to one.
No.
you're
I don't
missing
go to
out.
weddings at all, but yeah, my own I almost missed.
If you're not eating Indian food or don't get invited to an Indian Jewish wedding or an Indian wedding, you're missing out.
Probably. I don't know. But if you say so. Revital, again, go to her channel, Revital Moses, Moses in Israel, right? And follow her wherever she's at. You also have an Instagram, I think, right?
I'm most active on YouTube and Instagram.
YouTube and Instagram.
And LinkedIn if you want to get in touch.
I think YouTube and Instagram are the most interesting. I don't know. LinkedIn, I never really understood how to use it, but whatever. And in the comments, leave any questions. And if there's the good ones, I'll pass on to you and we'll try to answer. But lately, people have been cursing me out for some reason. I think some like anti-Semite put my channel somewhere. So that's actually
You
good.
should
They give me traffic.
I was going to
But
say.
yeah.
Thank them for engagement.
Yes. So thank you so much for being with us. A lot of fun. We'll be in touch. Hopefully we'll do another one. And if you guys have suggestions about what we should talk about next time, then obviously give that too. And we'll see you in our next episode. It's a lot
Thank
of
you
fun.
for having me.